In a world filled with ones and zeros, gluten-free bread, small talk, and the color beige, there live among us a few brave souls who break the mold, irritating their neighbors, making a mess, playing pretend, and letting their imaginations fly free. They are the Creatives! They're here to answer a question so consequential that it transcends both space and time. And that question is, so when are you going to get a real job?
P.S. This interview was filmed over Zoom and may contain the occasional sound or video glitch. All complaints can be sent to the elders of the internet. P.P.S. In the event of adult content and bad language being used, cover your ears and sing la 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 la. And now, on with the interview.
Once upon a time, there was a beautiful farm girl who had dreams of becoming a professional dancer. So one day she packed her bags and moved to the big city to study dance. She learnt ballet and tap and modern and jazz. She loved dance so much that she started sharing her gift with others, becoming an internationally accredited dance teacher. When Suné was done with her training, she went into the big scary industry. But nothing was too scary for Suné. This focused, driven and determined woman would make quick work of the Cape Town scene, dazzling as a corporate dancer, serving looks as a model, slaying in music videos, and entertaining thousands as the captain of the DHL cheerleading squad, all at the same time instructing fitness and dance at several studios across Cape Town. And now, the queen of leveling up has taken on her most exciting venture yet. Starting up her very own training program, Miss Esch offers amazing dance stretching and conditioning courses and classes. Suné-Lee Esch is living proof that with hard work and dedication, you can turn your passion into your success story. And now, without further ado, here she is.
Hello and welcome to the show. We've decided to do a quick little icebreaker with you and play a lightning round of getting to know you questions. Are you ready?
I think so.
They're quite difficult, I'm not going to lie, but they're goodies. If you could wake up tomorrow morning in a completely different place, where would you want to wake up?
Anywhere tropical, warm weather, high humidity, Mozambique probably.
What animal do you think you would be best friends with if you could talk to animals?
I'd say my pets, hopefully.
Imagine you find out that your dog hates you. Do you know what I mean? That'd be so depressing.
That sounds heartbreaking.
What food do you probably eat way too much of?
Lasagna, pasta in general.
Carbs, you got a carb load. What is your hidden talent?
I'm really good at organizing, color coding, cleaning, but that's not really hidden.
She's a Cinderella. If you could suddenly be an Olympic sports person, what sport would you perform in?
Probably rhythmic gymnastics or uneven bars.
Just gonna say the ribbon thing for you. That suits you.
Ready.
What music do you love that would surprise people?
Ooh. I'm quite into sort of heavy metal, rock, indie punk, which just does not look like me at all.
No, I'm surprised by that. That's good. What is the last movie you watched?
The new Charlie's Angels.
If you could share a wardrobe with any celebrity, whose wardrobe would you want to share?
Blake Lively.
If you met a genie, what's your first wish?
I think I would wish for something along the lines of people not harming animals, but at the same time, I kind of love meat. And then also I would love to reverse my frown lines.
Okay, last question. You're hosting a dinner party and you can invite any 3 characters from the world of TV. Who are you inviting?
These questions are hard because I always think one would be Sam Hugan. I know, embarrassing.
Who is that? Tell me. Who is that?
The Scottish actor from Outlander. Whatever the name of the actor is that voices the original Mufasa.
Okay, James Earl Jones.
And I have to find one more guest. Probably Trevor Noah for some entertainment.
Yes, nice. Okay, well, that's actually good selections. You got
Yeah.
through.
Suné, can you tell us, first things first, how are you really doing?
Well, luckily I have some friends that trade with some illegal substances at the moment, so my wine supply is fine. Therefore, I am okay. Okay.
That's a huge positive.
It's sort of just that it's up and down, but I'm happy to be safe and fed, not overly worried, not about to lose my home or etc. etc. So, you know, things could be worse. I have a lot to be grateful for.
Definitely. That's such a positive outlook, yeah.
But it's hard to sometimes remember that. I think when you get caught up in an emotion, like, so it's good to be able to come back to that exact, you know, I have food and I have somewhere to stay. I'm okay. I'm okay.
It's definitely, yeah, exactly. And it's definitely like something that keeps you grounded. You have to be a grounded person in order to think like that in the first place. And yeah, it's not to say that you don't always feel like that, if that makes sense. Like some days you feel absolute shit, and like, yeah, especially when it's nearing your period and you hate fucking everything. But yeah, that's a good place to be. So can you tell us, for people who don't really know you, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about what you're doing at the moment, where you're from, what you studied, and how you ended up where you ended up right now?
Wow.
Where you were born, where are you from, where do you hail
from? So currently living in Cape Town. I've been here for the last 6 years. I moved here from a town called Nelspruit in Mpumalanga. I moved here to come study, and I majored in dance and sort of didn't have a specific goal of where I'd be heading after graduating, because I didn't necessarily research the career options when studying dance or anything along the lines of theatre. I just thought, oh my God, I'm going to dance every day for 4 years. This is amazing. Let's go. And sort of, I got to know the industry a little bit better, and I started panicking. And then my attitude towards the end was just work is work. I really enjoy teaching and instructing, and I really enjoy performing as well. I can't really choose between the two, but right now the pandemic has chosen for me, so I'm mostly teaching at the moment. And yeah, so dance teacher, fitness instructor, performer, all of the above.
Sure, that's quite a list. It's so interesting though, like when you start studying, you don't really see the end goal. You just see like, I'm going to do my passion, something that I absolutely love and adore, and then towards the end you're like, what the fuck? What am I gonna do? What have I done? I've wasted my time. That's like the reigning thought. I mean, what did you do when you had that thought? Did you kind of think like, shit, maybe I should go and study something else? Or were you just like, okay, I've done it now, I'm just gonna try my luck and see where I go?
Yeah, I never would have stopped halfway through. I'm very much a finish what you started kind of gal. So even if unless I had a vast injury that prohibited me from dancing any further, I was definitely going to see it through to the best of my abilities. And then after that, if nothing came of it, I would have gone and studied further, and which I did. But I just sort of look back and I think, wow, oh my God, how irresponsible were you? And then I also think from my parents' side, they were like, yes, go be a dancer, go to theatre school. But they never once asked, you know, what are the job opportunities for realistically for after you graduate from a theatre school? And I never thought about it. And it's actually so irresponsible looking back at it now. But back then I was like, oh my God, I'm in theatre school, I'm dancing all day, yay, living my best life, didn't worry about it.
It's actually so interesting that you say that, because also, even if I think when you're in that like young adult like time, even if an adult or a person with knowledge said to you, listen, let's talk about job opportunities, you would have been like, don't kill my dream, man. Why are you like this? I think to myself now, I'm like, why didn't I go and study, philosophy and get a degree and then go and study, drama? Like that might have been more helpful. But it is what it is, isn't it?
if it had been any other way, you wouldn't have been the person that you are today, as cliche as that sounds.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I don't have no regrets.
No regrets. When you were studying, did you go into, because I know where we studied, you could go into sort of performance only stream, or you could take on like dance, like teaching an associate stream. Did you do both?
Yeah, I did. The whole thing for performance stream wasn't as evident in my major as much, or maybe I just wasn't aware of it. But I really like applying myself. Oh God, this sounds so cliche, but like in an intellectual manner. So I really enjoyed studying anatomy and physiology and learning the science and the biomechanics and the makeup of dancing and the steps itself, rather than just doing it with my body. So I enjoyed both. And I also thought, oh, one day I'll be a teacher. Maybe when I'm retired, when I'm 37 or something.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
When I'm retired at 37, it's like only in the performing arts and sports can you say something like that.
All right. Dancing.
But like what's his name? Usain Bolt, when like he's retired, he's like not even in the cities, and you think like it sounds so weird to hear that someone that young is retired. Crazy.
I mean, you put your body through the wars, right, to get to where it needs to be. So surely that has to be, you have to take a beating. It's crazy.
If you look at the principal dancers of all the major ballet companies, some of the best principal dancers are in their 40s. If you look at someone like Svetlana Zakharova, she's 41 and she is still a principal ballet dancer. Just because obviously if you're on a stage yay far, you don't necessarily see the fine wrinkles or gray hairs. There are things that can fix it with vast stage makeup, but if you maintain your body well, as a dancer at least, you can sort of prolong the longevity of your career. I have a couple of friends in Cape Town that are well into their 30s, but they've maintained their body and like a healthy looking skin, so they still get the jobs that the 19-year-olds would get because they're more experienced and have actually worked harder at maintaining a athletic physique than someone who is 19 and still living in their student days and getting gesyp every night.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So Suné, I want to know, obviously you've mentioned that now you're mainly teaching and instructing. Before lockdown hit us, did you have anything in the lineup that had to be postponed?
Yeah, so a lot of corporate work, a lot of freelance dance gigs, it is completely shut down. The biggest thing that I enjoy and rely most on is the cheerleading job that I have with the rugby team here in the Western Cape. It's a good, solid, consistent job, and it's probably one of the only more long-term dance contracts available for local dancers in South Africa, as opposed to going overseas or cruise ships, etc., etc. So I just had a lot of local shoots and local gigs that just completely fell away and got cancelled completely.
How did you respond to the news that things were postponed and cancelled?
When COVID sort of hit South Africa, I was very much in denial. I was very naughtily going to the gym up until I think the Tuesday, and the hard lockdown started on Thursday. I was very naughty. I was very much in denial, and I thought, oh well, we'll have the 21 lockdown thing and then things will go back to normal. And yeah, that denial I think is still very much in me. Just sort of try to brush it off. It is what it is kind of thing. Next year is another year, and it's also sort of forced me to look at other options as job opportunities and in my personal life, and see how I can better myself and continue working. But I've just suppressed it completely, and it's sort of boiled up and exploded in my face every now and then when I have that meltdown 3 days before my period starts and I can't understand why I'm crying myself to sleep. It's then when it comes up.
Sounds very familiar.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling Becca, it happened to me today. I just started crying. I sat down on the stairs and I just started crying. I was like, why is this happening to me? Why? And I mean, you start saying the most like dramatic things. I was like sobbing into my own hands, going, I can't live like this anymore. I can't live like this. And you're like, who am I? I feel like I'm in a soap soap opera. What is going on?
I didn't tell you this, but my last period, I was completely crazy. Like, I was completely cooked, right? I had this song that was going in my brain over and over and over again, but I couldn't get the right words for it. Like, you know, when there's just one verse that just keeps ticking over and over, couldn't get the right words. So I eventually went on YouTube, typed in the song. It's actually a song from Legally Blonde. I think it's the Legally Blonde remix or something like that. Vivian's little verse. And so I went on YouTube and I played it. No word of a lie. As soon as she started singing that verse, I started crying. But I can't tell you why I was crying. I was just like, oh, this is so nice. Like, the words just so nice. It was completely cooked. Fuck. Stupid period.
Sune, you have done an amazing thing recently. Starting your website, I had a look today, and starting your own online fitness program. How did that idea come to you, and like, what did you do? How did you make that happen?
It was sort of coincidental. I've always had the attitude that I don't want to start my own thing. I don't want to own a business. I like going to a job, arriving, doing my thing and leaving, and not having to lock up or worry about admin or fucking social media schedules or following up with emails. I'm just like, no, can I just go do my thing and leave? So then during the hard lockdown, a couple of my dancer friends asked me to teach a free class, a stretch class, just for us to hang out over Zoom and do some stretches, and sort of being the non-fun cheerleader that I am, it wasn't going to be, oh, let's just all lie in the splits and have a giggle. I sort of came up with structured classes, and we started with 3 classes a week, and we were sort of working towards hitting certain goals, etc., etc. And then it just started growing to a point where it sort of got a little bit too big, that it was just for my circle of friends. And then I started streaming live on Facebook because I've had a lot of people join, and I sort of just took the plunge. I researched on sort of other international companies and people that have similar online programs, and I saw what they did, and I realized that this is actually a very easy and sustainable sort of, I don't want to call it a side hustle, because this isn't a passion project or a lockdown hobby. This is now something that I've really focused my intention and attention to really making it work. And then just by friends encouraging me, and then I also did a shit ton of online courses during the lockdown period, and learning a little bit about business and networking and social media, blah, blah. I sort of had this idea of like, oh, maybe I can pull this off. Maybe I can do this. And then I've actually been working with Dirk. I'm sure you remember Dirk. We've been working together quite extensively on setting everything up. And yeah, it's just sort of, it was born at my kitchen table with copious amounts of wine.
That's incredible. It sounds like you are the kind of person who has been super, super productive during this lockdown, which is so encouraging. It's so interesting how like brilliant ideas, brilliant life plans or life goals can come to fruition during such a strange time. Like, I mean, it sounds like this is something that you're definitely going to continue after lockdown and like kind of guide your life towards. So that's really encouraging. That makes me feel good.
Thanks, Becca. But it's I might have done one productive thing. I've definitely had those days where I would sleep until 2:00, wake up, have a glass of wine at 3, and then nap again, and then lock myself into a dark room for 3 days and just sob myself to sleep all the time. It's been up and down. I'm definitely either extreme, either super productive and on it and disciplined and driven, or complete slob. There's no in between.
That's very interesting. And what is the most like embarrassing thing you've done during lockdown? Oh dear.
I'm not a very expressive and out there, touchy-feely kind of person. And there was a time period that I got really into this sort of very typical soap opera drama TV series, and whatever happened in the series, I would dream about and I would sob about, and I became obsessed with it to the point where I was so unhappy with what happened in this TV show. I locked myself into a dark room for 3 days and just cried all the time. My world became so small. I was binging this TV series, and that was becoming my world. The characters were my friends, my family, and I sort of lived myself into this fantasy. And then every time something happy happened, I'm like, oh my God, they're finally together. I'm so happy. And then something would go wrong, and then just, oh my God, my life is over. So just, that's been pretty embarrassing. And my poor partner had to suffer with all my mood swings, locked into our house.
What TV show is this?
Outlander.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm embarrassed for you.
Although I suppose it's better than, imagine it was like Days of Our Lives or Gossip Girl. Do you know what I mean? At least there's some form of like good scripting, I think. Good costume, right?
Can I just say, Gossip Girl hits a different place. That was high school vulnerability for me. I cried then too.
Okay, so once you moved on from Outlander, what else have you been watching on Netflix?
I binged Outlander, Vikings, Castle by the Sea, The Last Kingdom. I'm very into historic TV dramas. And then eventually I ran out of historic TV series, drama things, and then I started watching the French and Spanish TV versions with English, what do you call it, voiceovers.
Right. Of the same stuff.
No, different series that just isn't, it wasn't sort of shot in America or locally. So it's a French or Spanish TV series with English voiceovers.
I thought you couldn't get enough of Outlander. You're like, I'll watch it in French and Spanish and Portuguese.
No.
Wow.
No, I cried enough once. I cannot rewatch it. I'm scarred.
It's a very, very interesting genre you're into.
Have you watched The Tudors?
Yes, all of them. Name any sort of historic period, medieval TV series or movie. I've seen it.
What about Reign?
Yes, all of them.
All of them, Kim. All of them.
You watch Game of Thrones? Were you a Game of Thrones girl? Okay.
Yeah, up until the last season at least.
If I had a time machine, it would be for the most selfish reason, and it would literally be to go back and not watch the last season of Game of Thrones.
Fair, I agree.
I would do. That's it.
I think I'm the only person who has not watched Game of Thrones and will not watch it.
There's no fucking point. There's no point.
Really?
Well, not since they've butchered it. You'd just be angry.
Yeah, this is a very big thing in your life because you tend to bring it up quite a lot.
Yeah, especially when I'm doing writing workshops. I'm like, if you want an example of bad TV writing, go and watch that fucking season. Like, I'm sorry, but that's my opinion, and I said it.
But do you know that that last season was also directed by 2 or 3 different directors? Right. So the vision somewhere got lost, besides the bad writing, the bad ending. But there's also a little bit of a, not a follow-through theme in the last season.
That makes sense.
Okay, so Sune, I want to know, now that you've got this thing going, do you feel obliged to be happy? Now, what I mean by that, or be positive at least. So it's like almost like you've now got a thing going, you've committed to it, you've got people joining your classes, you can't flake. Like, you can't have down days where you're feeling depressed and you're feeling blech. You kind of now, you're stuck.
I think right now I feel the same way that I felt in May or June, just with an overflowing inbox, actually. It's the exact same. But with being a performer or being in theatre or even being a teacher, I used to teach, well, now I teach online at a gym that's sort of very Jane Fonda on steroids. So you have to show up and be bubbly and jump up and down like a Duracell bunny. So I think I'm trained in showing up and delivering a fantasy of how good life can be. And oh, look at me, I'm so healthy and so flexible and my life's amazing. And then afterwards I'm like, oh. But I definitely feel the exact same way now, just with an extra responsibility, if not a little bit more anxiety, because I feel that if I am going to produce something or be bold enough to slap my surname on something, I'm going to have to make it good, because I don't want my name associated with something that is mediocre, watered down, not as good as I know what I can produce, if that makes sense. So if anything, I have more anxiety.
Lots of pressure. But I mean, how do you deal with that anxiety? Can you deal with it? One, okay.
Yeah, so if I have, and I'm really bad, and it's been an ongoing struggle, especially very evidently the last 2 years, I've been trying to work on myself. I definitely have to strive for balance and neutralize my anxiety. I find that if I get a text or a notification or an email, I have to answer and respond immediately. If someone is asking for a document right now, I have to get it off my to-do list, because if there's something on my to-do list that's just waiting there, I'm like, I can't go to bed because I have to get this done, because otherwise I can't fall asleep because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And it gets to the point where, I mean, just to give you an example, when I did my certification exams or my dance teacher's exams, I couldn't fall asleep because I kept running choreography and notes in my head. And even when I did fall asleep, I would dream about the choreography or dream about doing the choreography and fucking it up. And it's very much the same now. I have these nightmares where, you know, everything comes crashing down because I didn't do what I was supposed to. And then I wake up and like, oh, okay, I'm going to go answer my emails now. Bye. 4 o'clock in the morning.
It's like that recurring maths exam dream that you keep having in matric. Well,
Can't relate. My matric year was a waste.
Mine too, friend. My parents left me. They moved away from me. They left me alone in Port Elizabeth. I was babysat by my best friend. We had a ball of a time. Failed everything.
Sounds familiar.
My brain can't comprehend the story of Becca, who literally was left alone with, how old was Damien at the time? Like 1920.
Wait, no, he was 21, I think, or 22.
I mean, imagine.
He wasn't my friend for long.
That same happened to me. I think the end of my grade 11 year up until the middle of my matric year, I also lived away from my parents with my boyfriend at the time, who was 23 and I was 17.
Okay, well, there we go.
Hectic.
I wrote down something here that I wanted to ask you about, and I've been meaning to ask you about it forever. What was it like being Paloma Faith's body double?
I didn't know that.
Do you know what? Can I say? It was a typical, very typical, low-budget South African shoot. The specific scene where my legs feature all the time, we were on a beach, and I apologize if I pronounce this incorrectly, Macassar. It's on the way out to Somerset West side. And it was so windy. We were so poorly cared for. We didn't get sunscreen. There were no umbrellas or gazebos or trailers. We literally just sat in this ruined old building waiting for our time to go shoot, get attacked by sand, and you have to roll around. Like you saw, there was some dance. I don't know if you saw, there was some dancers also rolling around on the floor in the sand. It was not a fun time. It was not a glamorous shoot. And also I was just body doubling for her here. She wasn't here.
Yeah, okay. So I didn't realize she wasn't actually in the building at the time.
Yeah.
Bizarre. I don't know who that is. I've heard her name before, but I don't know who that is.
You'll like her music. You'll like to sing it. It's quite jazzy.
Really?
That's true.
You might have some nice audition songs.
Good idea. Kim, my agent, my manager.
I wonder how often these performers actually know what's going on at the shoots.
I definitely didn't. And so often, I mean, I've done so many jobs, whether it be a shoot or a gig, and people ask, "Oh, who's it for? What's it for?" I'm like, "I don't know. I was just paid to roll in the sand and dance." And I left. That was it. Bye.
Yeah.
Do you think that, I mean, yes, bring doggies here. Time.
Hello. Is that Cooper?
Yes.
Aw, he's excited.
Yes, because I closed him in the room and he escaped.
Oh, shame. So he's actually just showing off now.
Yes, he likes kisses. Okay, can you come sit?
Okay, so I mean, judging by that short story, majority, would you say that your instructing or your teaching you prefer over performing?
There's something that performing gives me. And just I'm so honest about it. Like it feeds my ego, and I love it. Like the lights and the glitz, and like a gorgeous showgirl costume. It's great and it's fun. Unfortunately, where we are in our country, there aren't a lot of jobs in that department that allows you to stay at home. So I have taken myself out of the running to do international jobs, whether it be with a cruise or a touring group, etc., etc. Just because for my personal well-being, I need a home and security and stability more than my ego needs to be fed by stage lights and applause. So it's sad because I do sometimes think, oh, what if I went and traveled, or what if this or that? But I don't want to be hopping from Joburg to Cape Town, one corporate after the next, or go onto a boat. I want a home, and I wanted to have my children. And this is way more fulfilling than the applause. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, it's so interesting that once you have graduated and you've kind of done your studying years, your goalposts shift, and it's like, you know, you've imagined yourself on the stage, and then when you're like so close to having it, you're like, actually, I don't want that anymore. I would rather have a sense of security. I would rather have a life. I would rather not be away from family and friends. And yeah, it's interesting. I also think, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you have to have a certain kind of personality in order to enjoy touring, and like a certain level of maturity. And I know that sounds terrible, but like, I don't know, for me, it's just, it doesn't suit me. It doesn't suit my personality. I don't think I would enjoy moving from place to place and being with people. I don't like people, basically, and I don't think I would enjoy living with people I work with, essentially.
No, agreed. And I'm very happy to admit I am an only child. I'm extremely selfish. I'm a typical A type. I like my space. I don't like living out of a suitcase. I like my things. I do not like sharing at all. And I still get my performance fix every now and then. It might not be for a glamorous company or in a fancy stage every time, but I do get that fix. But what's important, I've sort of prioritized, just because I see the sort of travel gypsy life, going from one Airbnb and then you're living off of someone's couch because you're waiting to hear from this edition, and then you're in a cabin, and no, thank you. No, not about that life.
No, I agree.
Especially now, because what does the future of performing look like? Something that's interesting is a lot of people have done, like, polls on exercise, and a lot of people have said that they would prefer they actually enjoying exercising from their own home, especially something like the classes you do where it's flexibility and things, that if you're a little self-conscious and you just want to work on strengthening your back or your whatever, it's nice to be in a safe place where you are spreading your legs, and and you may be the least flexible person in the class, but you're not sitting next to someone who's flat on the ground, where so I think there's a huge market for what you're doing.
Part of why I sort of leaned more towards making this an official thing is how much I enjoyed working out at home. I would roll out of bed, put on a sports bra, still in my pajamas, not brush my teeth, and just do my workout and then go shower. And I found it so nice. I mean, if the instructor was doing something that I wasn't particularly enjoying, I would just do my own thing. Whereas in a class environment, you'll feel pressure to follow the routine. I didn't feel the need to compete with anyone or speed up or slow down. I mean, I've been lucky enough. For the last 2 years, I've been working in a female-only gym, and I didn't fully realize what that meant in terms of safety and how I felt about myself up until I started exercising at home. And then I realized, I thought back to when I went to a unisex gym, I would be so aware of what I wear, how short my shorts are. If I lean forward in a plank position, are my boobs falling out? But in the female-only gym, I didn't think about those things. You know, if a tit was going to fall out, it was going to happen. You just pop her back in. If my bum cheek was showing, who cares? And then in home, well, I had the most happening. I had my dogs hump me while I was in a plank, but no one cares. I was in my home. I didn't brush my teeth. Still did my workout though.
Yeah, it sounds great. I want to ask you, you've sparked a question in my brain. If things go back to normal, when things go back to normal, will you continue with the online teaching, or would you want to move to a venue?
For now, I think a lot of people have had that light bulb moment of, oh, I actually like rolling out of bed and doing a class in my pajamas. And I think that will stick with a lot of people. Also liking the long-term effects that it has because there are less cars on the road. No issue with parking. You don't have to pay studio rental. My partner and I invested money into setting up a little home studio with buying some lights and a mic and, trying to make it a little bit more official. I would like to keep it online just because it's quite accessible and easy for me and other people, obviously, if you have the infrastructure at home with Wi-Fi and the devices, etc. But I think, as most people would say, that online is going to become a more popular thing.
Because you can basically tailor make your life to your home situation, if that makes sense. Investing a little bit more money in your sanctuary in your home and making it a space where you can work out and do your job and chill and rest and just, you don't have to go anywhere. It's the best.
Don't have to pay for parking, don't have to fear walking on the streets, don't have to worry about what you wear. You do what's most important, as opposed to going to a certain type of gym and then your active wear isn't matching enough, or your hair isn't done. The sort of people that do the hair and makeup at the gym, there's so many extra unnecessary pressures and anxieties, whereas in your home it doesn't matter. It's just for you, and you can sort of tailor make your life according to what you want.
Totally. Teaching definitely, especially this kind of thing, is adapting quite nicely to an online platform. But something like performing, I often think about it. What do you think the future of actual performing is going to look like?
I think nothing beats the thrill of live theatre. I mean, just sitting in an audience, you always have that little bit of a butterfly effect in your tummy, like, are they going to pull off the lift? Is she going to hit that note? Is the scene change going to happen quick enough? And it's quite exhilarating watching things like that, how this mechanism works together to bring something to life. I do, however, feel that there is a difference between an online, obviously we did this in what's it called, TV presentation. There's a difference between acting to a camera and acting to a live audience, and I'm seeing it more and more with dancers, where I see dancers online and then I meet them in person and I'm like, oh, you're actually better on camera than in real person, and then vice versa. I think it just opens up a whole new niche. I mean, I've seen so many models, fitness instructors, dancers that thrive online, but in person with human interaction they're not as successful. And I'm like a little bit opposite. I think I do better with in-person interaction, live theater. And when I have to speak to a camera, I'm like, hallo julle, my naam is Suné-Lee, welkom. It's just a little bit awkward. So some people take better to different things, and it's just two different niches now, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, do you think that the cheerleading thing will have to change its format when things go back to normal? Or are they able to change their format? I mean, it's an interesting question because I've been made aware of so many, it sounds ridiculous, but so many holographic performances where they create, have you seen this, Kimby? Have you seen this before? Where I've seen one performance where this woman, she created like, they recorded her and then they layered her so that it looked like she was forming a little troop, but it was all her going off in canon, and it looked so freaking cool. Yeah, do you think that that's possible? I've just sparked an idea in Kim's brain. I could see it.
Imagine the DHL cheerleaders, right? They go individually, they learn a routine, and then they go into your studio, and your whole body gets like zoomed, and your whole outfit and everything. And then at a live event, they hologram all of you, but they can hologram you to be like the size of a double-story building, and you're dancing on the whole field. Like the whole field is taken up by these like sexy cheerleaders. That would be insane.
Incredible.
I think with that, I see it, but for those lights to work on a field, you'd have to have a dark area and it's lit by the sun. Most of the time, at least in the evenings performances, we have the spraylichten. I don't know what you call them in English, but I think those, I mean, it's sort of been introduced a little bit here in Cape Town and quite a bit more in Joburg, where they have those sort of extra shapes and shadows created with LED screens, and I think it's a trend, and it is a, you know, different strokes for different folks. Some people might like that for their events, and then other people would want 20 Gatsby dances sort of thing. In my opinion, nothing beats live theatre or a live performance, but every now and again it might be nice to try something else, although paying for that is going to be quite pricey. You know, you pay for fewer dances, but you have to pay for the electronics and the lighting and this, that, and the other. And yeah, different strokes, different folks, different budgets.
Kim has very, very flashy ideas living in her brain that won't work for everyone's budget.
Well, you can piss on my dream if you want, but that's my dream.
Sorry, Kimbo.
My dream, man.
Sorry. Okay, so Suné, just to finish off, can you tell the wonderful people where they can find you?
So the proof of my pudding is mostly on my Instagram account, where I share the progressions of my clients. And yeah, it's always good to sort of look at the pictures, see what's happening on real bodies. And this program is targeted towards dance enthusiasts, or actually completely normal people who want to work on their flexibility and a little bit of conditioning that goes along with that. So that's Miss Esch on Instagram, or missesh.com.
Yay! I think Kim and I should come and do a class so people can laugh at us.
I did a class at the very beginning.
Yes.
In the very beginning, when you started the classes, I was like, yes, go Suné, I'm going to do a class and I'm going to, you know, show up and be there. And I hadn't realized that I hadn't actually done any like exercise for probably like 5 to 6 months. And so I started, and it was so funny because you were doing the split thing and you were like, okay, cool. So you can put some pillows underneath you. And one of the things you said, you were like, okay, so if you aren't feeling that flexible, you can put 2 pillows underneath you and then you should be fine. And I put 2 under, and I was like, oh, no. So at the end of the whole thing, I had 6 pillows and I still was like, oh, Jesus Christ, I can't do this. I had like 6 pillows, and then when you were like, "Hey, let's do the left side," and I was like, "I can't." So I just sat on my yoga mat and I just watched you guys, and I was like, "This is fine." It was amazing, but I must get back into it because I haven't done anything. I have not done any like.
If you sign up for my program, you definitely have to be driven and determined, and you sort of have to have the basic, I want to say, self-motivation, because this isn't a let's sit and meditate and feel good about ourselves. You are going to sweat from pain, you're going to shake and burn and be a little bit uncomfortable, but it's all towards increasing your flexibility and your strength to match your flexibility. So it's not like a a generic gym stretch class that is based on this method or that method. It's specifically to increase flexibility. But however, the Instagram classes are a lot more chill. That's for a basic beginner where I'm like, and breathe in and exhale and in and stretch.
That sounds a bit more manageable. The other stuff was sounding a little bit scary for me, and you were getting very intense about it. So I think maybe I'll join your Instagram tomorrow, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Excited to have you.
Yay! Thank you so much for being our guest. We had such a lovely time with you.
Thank you. It's always awkward doing online things, but it's nice to see different faces and to chat about different things.
Definitely. We got to somehow stay connected, hey? Anyway.
Agreed.